In the small town of Nyack, there lives a library, surrounded by a unique community. And within each community member lives a story, waiting to be heard. With the help of a special program based around the beautiful philosophies of Jim Evers, we will help bring together different generations in hope to discover that they might have more in common than many might suspect. These stories and discussions will be based around a unique object that present opportunities for further discussions and connections. As we interview each of these people here today, we should ask ourselves, what are some of the similarities and differences across generations that these conversations reveal? And can they become a foundation for a new friendship? Now, without further ado, let's sit back, relax, and see for ourselves. Thank you.
My husband liked some of my paintings so much he put them in the albums with the photographs. So that's kind of nice. I open an album and I go, oh, I remember that, Yeah. My name is Arlene Leventhal. I am 88 years old. And I live in Nyack, facing the Hudson River. I do plein air painting, which is painting outdoors. And although I'm an artist and I work indoors, large paintings, when I go outdoors, I like everything to be miniature so I can carry it. Now this is the object I brought in. This is a very, very small but wonderful paint set made by Winsor Newton, which is a British company, and I've had this many, many years, maybe 40 or 50 years, and this is what it looks like. The paints are very small, it's refillable, and I have a little easel here, and I take it with me in this case when I travel. So I need something small to paint on. And the beauty of this set was it was postcards. So there were times when I would do a painting and I would send it to somebody and they would save it for me for when I got home I had it.
So you mentioned that all of these different paintings came from different trips you took. What's been your favorite destination that you've ever been to?
That's a hard question. I guess parts of Europe. I think Italy is my favorite place, and I didn't bring the painting, but the town is called Ronda, and it's the houses are perched on a cliffside, and there's this deep crevasse. So when I saw this, I said, "Oh, this is like a miniature Grand Canyon."
You also mentioned that your husband was keeping your photos in albums. What would you say, like his outtake on your art is? How does he feel about it?
The interesting thing is, my husband was a scientist, he was a physicist. Mm-hmm. And one day after many trips and pictures and everything, he said, your albums are just beautiful. But do you mind if I do the albums? I said, be my guest. So from then on, when we traveled, he did the albums and he took my paintings that were meant to be just, sketches, and he used them in the albums, and I forget that they're there, and if I look at the album, I say, oh, I remember this. This whole intergenerational idea is fantastic, and the person that thought this up is Sally Borglum. She arranged for the scholarship money. Mm-hmm. She was a very dear friend of Jim Evers, and she wanted this way to remember him. I think it's fantastic.
Alrighty,
okay.
Thank you
so
for
much.
being here tonight.
It's been a pleasure.
So, hi, my name's Ayana.
Hi.
What is the object that you brought and how is it significant to you?
Okay, so what I brought is a book cover. Mm-hmm. It's very old. It's called The Whistling Tea Kettle and Other Stories About Hannah. This is an author that grew up in Nyack and was a teacher at the Liberty Street School. She started writing children's books, and she wrote a book about Hannah, and really it was her story about being a little girl in Nyack. So it's a very street story. Mm-hmm. I was the curator for an exhibit that we did at the Historical Society of Nyack, which is on the other side of the little parking lot behind the library.
Yes.
Called Storytellers from Nyack and nearby. I just sort of fell in love with Hannah, the little girl, and the author, and I got to know the author's daughter, who I really learned, a lot about that family. Her grandmother, who said, the only time you buy something for somebody is if they need it.
Yes, that is very true.
And Hannah wanted to buy her grandmother all these nice things.
Aww.
But Grandma said, no, I don't need it. So that was sort of, it's such a sweet kind of story. And I got to know them really well. And then this is a story about Hannah when she's much older. This book is all about letters. Hannah always liked to write letters. I mean, nasty kind of, to her aunt, asking her, please don't knit any more itchy sweaters, to other kinds of notes that she made to people. And she really wanted a pen pal. So this is part of this book is about that. This book is a great book. I mean, I recommend to all of you to read it. It's just terrific.
I want to read it. Sounds good.
And we decided, several of us, that we would write a play because it's all letters.
Really?
So we collapsed this into a play, which was performed here in the library, and by two very talented young students. This was a really very special experience for me.
Yes.
And even though it was only a few years ago, it was worth sharing.
Yes, definitely. This project is obviously about Jim Evers. How do you think he envisioned this project?
Well, I think in so many ways, it's perfect for him. Making connections, if you're comfortable with making connections, it can happen lots of ways, and you just need to be present, kind of. I mean, I don't know that he ever said that, but I always got that feeling that just
Yes.
be there. So I think that he would be thrilled.
Yes, he would. But thank you for bringing your object. Thank you for explaining.
My pleasure. Thank
I loved
you so
it.
much.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm Maya. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Loni. I live in Nyack. Okay, so you have questions?
Yes, I heard you brought an item.
I did. I brought my point shoes. These are actually my second pair when I was 10. The story that goes with these, there was a movie called The Red Shoes, and it was made in 1946, and Moira Shearer was the ballerina, and it's very dramatic, and if you look at it now, it's like really, it's a little corny, but it's still, to a young ballet dancer wannabe, it's the main point of why I started ballet was there's a scene where she opens a drawer, a chest of drawers. She opens the bottom drawer, and it was in Technicolor back then. And there had to have been, 10 pairs of point shoes, all satin, but all different colors.
Oh.
It was magical. And that drawer was magical, and I just wanted all those colors. And every night I take them out and I look at them, and just, it just makes me feel all cozy, fuzzy, and it's what I chose to do. I did wear tap shoes, and I am probably the worst tap dancer in my union. Yeah, and 3 shows I was in, I had to tap.
I think tap, it's fantastic.
I
It's so
love
fun to
tap.
watch.
I wish I had started that when I was young.
Oh, really?
I taught musical comedy.
That's awesome.
And jazz. And basically, I taught the jazz class so that I could have a class. Because I couldn't find anything up here for professional dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that school, and then I said, well, can I teach a, jazz class? And she said, absolutely. And it was good because I got a class.
Yeah. Are there any kind of games you played as a kid, and what did you do for fun when you were younger?
Well, that's a good question. I was pretty much in the ballet school most of the time. I did go to camp, but it's so funny when I didn't do things like go to Disneyland or because I was in the city. I did go to camp in the summer, and I always loved softball.
Oh, softball.
That was my favorite. Softball, swimming. Terrible tennis player, just the worst. I loved horseback riding. Well, growing up in the city, so we had a thing called wall ball, where you had I love jacks. Did you ever play jacks?
Yes, I have.
And pick up sticks?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's so fun.
Yeah, we used to play jacks, and the ball was a Spalding ball, bouncy ball.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go outside and throw the ball against the wall of the apartment building, and a lot of times they would get stuck, like in the crevices, and we'd have to go back to the 5 and 9 and get another ball. Life was easier back then, in the 50s. I mean, I could ride my bike in Central Park at dusk and not be nervous.
Yeah.
It's different. It's harder for you guys. I think you have to be so much more careful, and I think it was freer back then. Well, in the city, that's my experience. And I'm a late driver because I grew up in the city, so I never drove. And I lived in California for 3 years, and I had to learn. That was scary. When I was going to take my test, I was so nervous. I couldn't remember how to turn on the car. And I was doing a show out there on Evita, and I was such a wreck because I thought, oh, he's going to fail me, and now I won't be able to drive, and I still don't have somebody take me to the theater. And I said, I have tickets to a theater. I can give you tickets. He just said, just go. You passed. Go away.
So can't be that bad, yeah.
No.
We got it.
No. My first Broadway show opened on my 19th birthday. And it was called George M. It was about George M. Cohan. And it was at the Palace Theater, and I remember standing on stage thinking, it's my birthday, and I'm in a Broadway show at the Palace Theater. This is not real.
Yeah, it's surreal,
It was surreal. The last Broadway show was Cats.
Cats. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's so cool.
In that for 3 years, and I played Grisabella. She's the one who sings Memory.
Oh.
And yeah, that was kind of fun. But I'm so afraid of heights. Cats was this huge tire that went up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so frightening. And the guy playing Old Deuteronomy, the old cat who takes me to the Heaviside layer, Cat Heaven, he was not afraid of heights. And I'd be next to him and he'd be going, wow, this is so high. Because they put our mics were on. Oh, wow, this is like, and I go, stop it. And one night I was walking to the tire with Old Deuteronomy. And we all had yak hair. They were wigs. And our wigs got stuck together.
Oh, no.
And I thought, I'm trying to go like this, and he's trying, a couple of hairpins got stuck, and we couldn't separate our heads. And I thought, well, the only thing that I'm going to have to do is just take the wig off and go up on the tire bald, or in a wig cap. But one of the other cats, she had her head about her, she came and undid our hair.
I'm Susan Travis, and I live on the Vita Place in Nyack. I didn't know what kind of objects to bring, so I brought, this has been my passion for 20 years. I make mosaic pots, and I make it from all sorts of things people give to me, mirrors or broken glasses, or I get glass, I get some things from Venice, some gold and some other things. And I made another pot. I mean, I have about 50 pots. So I make pots out of tiles my friend sends me from New Mexico.
That's cool.
So it's really fun and it really relaxes me.
I think my grandmother's been to Venice, Italy.
She has?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I've been there 4 times because I love water. My house is overlooking the Hudson, so every morning I see the Hudson River and it just calms me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell me about your time in school?
My time in school. Well, I went to elementary school, and then I went to a 2-year middle school. I hated middle school. The kids are very cruel. They would look for your weak part and they would just go for it.
Yeah.
So I used to hide during lunch and eat between 2 stores so they couldn't find me. High school was fine, and I went to undergraduate college at Brooklyn College, and I liked it very much. And I was in a very small department in a very large school. It was classics, and I studied Roman history and Roman archaeology and Roman art and Greek, and I loved it. And then years later, I went back to school and I took counseling at Columbia University. And another thing I brought was my sweater, because I didn't know what kind of articles you guys wanted. This is my sweater from high school, which was a long time ago, and I was a Tilden twirler, and I saved it. So I was very proud of it. And my mother, in a move, threw away my jacket, which I was very distressed about. But I saved this, and this mattered because it was something that I challenged myself to be. And even when I failed, I told you earlier, the first time, I don't know where I got the nerve to try again, and we made it the second time, my best friend and I.
Yep.
So I'm proud of it. And
it's always good to be determined.
Don't you think? You are determined.
Thank you. You are too.
Thank you. I have about 50 hearts, and they're now in the Tapestry Florist, because on Valentine's Day she asked me to bring hearts, and she kept them there. So it's so fun. I just have ideas, and this was very spring-like to me.
Yeah.
And these are, they're called Millefiori, and they are from Venice. And in Venice, it's the oldest glass factory. And on Murano, it's Murano glass, and they have long tubes of glass, and they cut them, and then the flowers come from that cutting. I love the ocean more than anything, so I have a mermaid here, and glass that looks like the ocean, and little shells, and these are like bubbles. And this, someone gave me a necklace, and I don't wear really necklaces, so I crumbled it up and I made that the inside of this, and then I had these, and I put that around the outside, and this is a more traditional part. Some of the things I made for Valentine's Day.
I really love how creative you are with your art.
Well, thank you. You know, I love creativity. I danced when I was younger. My mother danced. I took dance classes in high school instead of gym all the time. But the thing that was shocking, at the end of high school, you had to swim to graduate, and I could not swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I never took anything. So they allowed me to do 1 lap, and they helped me. And at the end, I actually needed smelling salts. But you know, could you imagine not graduating? I was a very good student because you can't swim. But anyway, so I got through it. I was lucky.
Is there anything you are looking forward to in the future?
Being alive. I'm 79. I like to be alive in the future. But I'm going to go to Venice one more time. I went 4 times.
Yeah.
And my son's going to take me for my pre-80th birthday.
You should bring me with you.
And your grandmother.
Yeah.
All right.
We go sightseeing with it.
I'll consider it. I'll consider it.
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
It was really nice.
You're so welcome, Anthony. Thank you. I like meeting you.
I like meeting you too.
My name is Theresa O'Rourke, and I live in Pearl River, New York.
That's wonderful. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm delighted. Lots of stories to tell.
Yes, very exciting. So I know you have objects here with you today. Would you like to tell me a little bit about them?
So I brought some photographs from my earlier life. So I was actually born here in America. I was born in New York and grew up in the Bronx and here in Rockland County. And that's a picture of myself and my brother and my sister in the Bronx in New York. But then when I was 11, I went to Ireland with my family. My father took a vacation. He took us all to Ireland. And at that time, I had a ball. And my aunt used to tease me about going to school in the west of Ireland with her daughters. They all went to boarding school in a place called Tubbercurry in County Sligo. And I thought this was the best idea ever. So I was 11, but I wasn't due to go to high school until 14. About 6 months after this picture was taken, we went to Ireland. So that's the age I was when I kind of made the decision, this is what I wanted, right? So when I was 14, which was here, that I graduated from school, I decided I wanted to go to Ireland. So I told my parents, and my father wrote to his sister in Ireland, and it was cheaper for him to send me to school 3,000 miles away to a boarding school than to send me to school 10 miles down the road to Rosary Academy in Spark Hill. It's actually this year, it's 50 years since I graduated from high school.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll have a reunion. I'm hoping to go back for that. This is the picture of my auntie who I had the conversation with and who kind of nudged me to come over to Ireland to go to school with her daughters. And that one conversation with her, it changed the whole trajectory of my life. It's a great education, and I didn't have that burden, of having student loans and student debt and stuff like that. So I was freer to be able to do it. And then when I lived in Ireland, well, Europe is right there. So it was very easy. I mean, I did travel extensively through Europe. I've been to France and Germany and Italy and Portugal and whatever, Czechoslovakia.
That's really cool. So you've traveled to so many different places. What was your favorite place you've traveled to?
It's really hard to say what was my favorite place, because a lot of them hold something special for me for different reasons. I have a box like this side, and it's full of all the letters I received from different people. I have all my auntie's and friends' letters and boyfriends' letters, and all in this. In my old age, I'm not really old yet, I feel. I'm going to go through them all and rehash my life a little bit.
How did you or do you spend your time now?
Oh my goodness, this is a big question. So since I retired, I have really made a huge effort to live my best life. So I spend the mornings, I go to the gym, I do aqua aerobics, I've made friends there. We have coffee afterwards. I play the ukulele. My friend and I, we do lessons here in Nyack, and it was my COVID project to learn to play the ukulele. I've started doing some watercolor classes. I've learned how to play mahjong. I'm involved with a group called the Breast Buddies, and we do fundraisers for breast cancer research. Now, back in my working years, I was very involved in plays and theater, and a lot of them, in fact, that would be a connection that you and I would have, because your grandfather was a great supporter of that hobby, but we don't really, I haven't been doing that because the group that I was involved with kind of disbanded, but he was a great supporter.
Is there anything in the future that you're looking forward to?
Oh, sure. I look forward to every day, because I always have a plan what I'm going to do that every day, and I enjoy I have a great bunch of friends, and I have lots of interests, and I'm certainly not bored. Not bored at all.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's important when you retire to have interest and things to do, and good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pleasure, Riley.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for coming and helping with this project.
We could probably go on for hours more.
Definitely,
Yeah.
but thank you so much.
Well, what brings you here today,
That's
actually?
a good question.
So, did you bring an object?
I did. And
You
actually, it's a picture of my 8 grandchildren, which is what I spend my time when they're around. And I love it. And it's a great gift for people as we get older
Yes.
to kind of reach back beyond our kids' generation, see what that generation
Yes.
is dealing with.
Me personally, I kind of like the old way of doing things, paper, pen, the normal thing. I think that's a trait that I got from my mother, but I think it's how I learn better.
Yeah, find that thing that is your happy place.
Yes, definitely.
My wife and I call this particular program we're watching right now our happy place. So we go to it. We have 9 seasons of this program.
Yeah.
And every night we watch either 1 or 2. But you know how these binges are. The last scene gets you sucked into the next one.
Definitely.
The key is to know, when do you stop? But so we've actually gotten to a point where we binge the happy plays, and there's one that's a little more tense, so we don't do that on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are the kinds of things that we can escape to.
Yes.
So have fun.
Yes, definitely.
But, you know, it's really incumbent upon each of us to try to find that place that we can really feel good about ourselves.
Yes.
Because if we feel good about ourselves, those around us are going to feel good too, hopefully.
Yes.
You've got time.
Yeah.
But remember, we only borrow time.
Yes, we do.
So use it as best you can. And, you know, just realize that time is
valuable,
precious.
Yes.
Okay.
It
as
is.
is life. So, yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is, well, actually, I already know you, but hi, my name is Sophia Schmidt, but for editing purposes, can you tell the camera your name and where you live?
My name is Diane Sophia and I live in Nyack.
Thank you for being with us here today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I taught at Tring, but I wanted to perform. Everybody who knew me knew my family, and they automatically assumed that I was going to be a teacher, but I wanted to perform. So one day, on my day off, I took the trip up to London, auditioned, and got a job performing. And that started my performing career. I performed in Europe first, and then got the job to come to the States, to the United States. It was supposed to be for 3 months. I'm still here. I worked for 2 years in Vegas, and then I decided that I'd had enough of Vegas and went in the car and came to New York and got my first job. 2 weeks in New York. Funny thing happened on the way to the forum. Well, I've got these. These are when I came here to the States. I won the Harlequin Trophy for choreography.
Oh.
That was.
So that's you?
That's the Royal Academy. That's me.
Oh, that's
and the
so
Royal
cool.
Academy used to hold this yearly choreography competition, and I did it.
That's fun. It's nice.
This is me dancing at 2 years old.
Aw, you're so cute. Oh, that's so
there
cool.
are photographs from 1920. She stopped teaching in 79. But these are all photographs of the students. But on Saturday nights, all over the north of England and in the south too, they would have a dance. And, anybody could vote. So the boys went, the girls went, and it was how they met. And, eventually some of them got married.
Oh,
but
wow.
That was in every town. They would have this Saturday night dance for the boys and girls 15 and up.
And what was your favorite place you performed?
Well, all of those shows were Broadway. A lot of them were 3 or 4 of them were in the Winter Garden Theatre, so I knew the Winter Garden Theatre very well. And happened to meet the sergeant in charge of the mounted police in Times Square, and ended up marrying him.
Oh, wow.
And when I married him, he was sort of like my family. He did not want me to perform anymore.
Oh.
He wanted me to be his wife and have children, and he basically said no more performing.
Oh.
And I was not happy about that, but when you love somebody, you stay with them.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why don't you teach?" And I said, "No, no, I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
And so anyway, put a sign up at St. John's Church in New City and said, "Dance teacher in town." And a young girl called, she was 14 years old. And she said she'd like to take dance class. She'd never studied. And the young girl came over, and so I taught her. And the amazing thing is, she'd never danced, but she was an absolute natural.
Oh, wow.
And what happened was, because of that, it turned me back into wanting to teach.
That's great.
Before I knew it, I had 48 children coming to the basement.
In your basement?
All right. And that was the start of Coupe. Was in that studio in Nanuet by St. Anthony's.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually I already know you, but it was wonderful to meet with you here today. Thank you for your participation in this project and sharing your story.
Thank you. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I hope it's worthwhile for you. And thank you. I really thank you personally for doing this. Makes a difference.
Of course. I've enjoyed my interviews with you too.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Hi, my name's Aurelia.
Alice.
How was your experience in college?
My experience in college was not good, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yes, because I was too young.
How old are you?
16.
Whoa! Why? That's like me going to college right now.
Can you imagine?
I would hate that.
Well, I didn't know until I was there, and I didn't know that I had the possibility of maybe doing something else for a couple of years and then going to college. In those days, it was very, very different. Nobody really counseled you on the fact that you were so young.
Yeah.
And I loved the academics. The academics were wonderful, but the social part of it was horrible.
Really?
Because I was a little girl. What did I know?
Yeah.
I was 16, surrounded by people who were 18 and 20 and...
You're living on your own. I could not
Well, I wasn't.
imagine.
I lived at home, so at least I had that grounding. But it was so awkward. I didn't realize until after that I could have had so much more if I had waited. But like I said, nobody offered that. Pardon?
Why did you go so early?
Because I graduated high school at 16.
Oh. Did you skip a grade?
I skipped a grade, and I also happened to be born on the cutoff day. So I was the youngest in my grade, all going through. High school, for some reason, was fine. I loved high school. I had no problem. But to make that jump to college when you're 16, I was just 16. May, June, July. I was 16 in like 4 months when I started college. It was not good.
I see one picture.
So my picture was taken by a professional photographer. The reason why this picture is so dear to me is that at this particular job, which was like my third job out of college, I learned how to write. And it made me realize that I could write as part of my living. Not novels or anything, but short essays. I wrote for the employee newsletter, which I loved. And to this day, I love writing and I love editing. And it was a very special time. I was very young, and the job was tailor-made for me. So it was the best job I ever had. My husband worked for IBM. I was having trouble finding a job. They all wanted me to be a secretary or promise not to get pregnant.
Oh, that's a job.
No, but that's what they did in those days, in the early 60s. And I couldn't find a job. And he came home and he said, you know, I think there's a job that you might be able to do. Like, what is that? He said, there's something called a technical writer. And I said, yeah, why not? So I applied for it, and I got sent to computer school for 2 months, which was a lot of fun, actually. And then I became a technical writer. And I did that for many, many, many years.
Was that your favorite career?
Yes, it was one of the things that I liked best. But when I got to be much older, I had one bad experience in corporate America. That's all I had, only one. And it was so bad that I had to quit.
Oh my God.
And fortunately, we decided that I could just quit, because I was coming home. I was so sad, and it was horror. I never had a job like that my whole life. And so I looked for a job, and I found a job, and I became an administrator. And I was an administrator at a large synagogue for about 9 years, and I loved it. And I did a lot of writing for them. And then I was old enough to retire. Some of them were fun, some of them were less fun. Some of the bosses were good, some of the bosses were less good. But on the whole, my career was very, very good for me, for what I wanted to do, except, like I said, for the last computer-related job. That was awful.
I'm sorry, I said.
Well, it's all right. One job like that is pretty good for, you know, a whole career.
My name's Bonnie Kaplan, and I live in Nyack, New York.
All right, I'm Abby Kistrella. I also live in Nyack, New York.
I'm a retired high school English drama teacher. I've had other jobs that are connected to writing and professional development for teachers. And almost 10 years ago, my partner passed away. I spent 3 years sort of dealing with the mourning. You have to go the mourning process and then coming back into life. And I went on a service learning trip with a group of really cool teachers and their students, and I was actually there videotaping and documenting their experience in Cambodia. and I discovered what service learning was. It was really interesting to me to be able to go to a country or even in the United States and help in some way. And I was using my camera then to highlight the work that was done by nonprofits. I worked in Thailand doing that. I worked at the border to see what it was like for asylum seekers to come in. Like, once a door opens, somebody invites you in, all you have to do is say yes, and then the next door is going to be open and you can say yes again. So I kept saying yes, and at some point, it's a long story how I got to Tanzania, but 2 years ago, I spent 5 weeks in Tanzania working at a place called The Small Things. Their goal is to get kids out of the orphanage and into homes with family. I absolutely fell in love with the place, and I went with the intention initially of teaching writing and helping the kids prepare for a talent show. I worked with the older kids and teaching them playing harmonica, and the younger kids, I did reading. I didn't do the rhythm sticks, but I did other musical things. I got to actually work with kids in writing and art. So this book is filled with photographs and artwork that they did. And the last night that I was there, we had a celebration. So they all read from the books. They all got T-shirts. I mean, I made sure that people saw them and celebrated them as writers. So it's interesting to be invited to this program when Kathy, who's helped put this together with her kids, was my student in Pearl River and actually was in probably more than one show that I directed. So I would say that the great thing that I've learned is that you're never not a teacher. You know, like, it's been a long time since I've been in the classroom full time, but I am in the third chapter of my life. So I don't see myself as a senior citizen. I see myself as a lifelong learner. So all these experiences that I have just make me a better person and make me a happy person, you know, and somebody that feels very stimulated in the world. Yeah. So I would say I'm not an old person.
All I hear is like, wow, I have my physics test.
I was so nervous. I couldn't remember how to turn on the car.
Yeah.
Remember, we only borrow time.
Yes, we do.
So use it as best you can.
So I think that he would be thrilled.
This group of kids that, you know, how can I say, is so accomplished. I mean, you got filmmakers, you got, you know, I'm very impressed.